November 15th, 2025. Russia's Black Sea coast. A complete S-400 Triumf air defense battalion, one of the most sophisticated and expensive weapon systems in Russia's arsenal, sat at the Kuban Red Banner Regiment base near Novorossiysk, protecting critical infrastructure and airspace. Then, Ukrainian precision strikes turned $500 million worth of Russian air defense technology into smoking rubble in minutes. This wasn't just another attack. This was a strategic masterstroke that exposed Putin's air defenses as vulnerable even deep inside Russian territory. Picture the scene at the base. 4 S-400 launchers loaded with up to 16 ready-to-fire missiles each. The 96N6 cheeseboard early warning radar scanning hundreds of kilometers in every direction. The critically important 92N6 gravestone engagement radar, the brain of the entire system worth over $100 million alone, actively tracking airspace over the Black Sea. This was a complete battalion at full operational readiness, supposedly protected by Russia's layered defense networks and distance from Ukrainian-controlled territory. Ukrainian missiles arrived with the kind of precision that makes defense planners wake up in cold sweats. The strike package didn't just damage equipment, it systematically destroyed every critical component of the S-400 battalion. Launchers obliterated, radars shredded, command systems annihilated. When the smoke cleared, an estimated $500 million to $1.2 billion in military equipment had been reduced to twisted metal and electronic scrap. The S-400, what Ukraine just destroyed. To understand the magnitude of this strike, you need to understand what the S-400 Triumf actually is. This isn't Cold War surplus or outdated Soviet equipment. The S-400 represents the pinnacle of Russian air defense technology, a system Moscow has positioned as the ultimate shield against Western air power and a cornerstone of its military exports to countries including China, Turkey, and India. A complete S-400 battalion is an integrated air defense fortress. Each launcher vehicle carries 4 missiles with ranges extending up to 400 kilometers, depending on the variant used. These aren't simple anti-aircraft weapons. They're designed to engage everything from stealth fighters to cruise missiles to ballistic missiles. The system can track and engage dozens of targets simultaneously, coordinating with other air defense systems to create overlapping coverage that's supposed to make airspace impenetrable. But the launchers are just the visible part. The real brain of the system, and the most expensive, difficult-to-replace component, is the 92N6 gravestone engagement radar. This massive X-band radar provides the fire control necessary for missiles to actually hit their targets. It can track up to 300 targets and guide 72 missiles simultaneously. Without this radar, the launchers are just expensive trucks carrying useless missiles. Production of these radars is limited, manufacturing takes months to years, and each unit costs well over $100 million. The 96N6 cheeseboard early warning radar destroyed in the strike provides long-range detection, picking up aircraft and missiles hundreds of kilometers away and cueing the engagement radar. Together, these systems create the layered detection and engagement capability that makes the S-400 theoretically so formidable. Estimated cost of what Ukraine destroyed: 4 S-400 launcher vehicles, $40 to $50 million each, equals $160 to $200 million. 92 N6 gravestone engagement radar, $100 to $150 million. 96 N6 cheeseboard early warning radar, $50 to $80 million, up to 16 ready-to-fire S-400 missiles, $100 to $150 million. Command and control systems, support equipment, $90 to $120 million. Between $500 million and $1.2 billion in a single strike. For perspective, that's more than many countries spend on their entire annual defense budgets. obliterated in minutes. The strategic location, why Novorossiysk matters. Novorossiysk isn't just another Russian city. It's one of the most strategically important locations on Russia's Black Sea coast. Understanding why makes the targeting of the S-400 battalion there even more significant. The city hosts Russia's primary Black Sea naval facilities after Sevastopol. The Novorossiysk commercial seaport is one of Russia's largest, handling enormous volumes of cargo, including grain, metals, and critically, oil. The Caspian Pipeline Consortium terminal at Novorossiysk handles approximately 2.2 million barrels of crude oil per day, making it one of the largest oil export facilities in the world. Disrupting operations here hits Russia's economy directly. The Kuban Red Banner Regiment Base, Military Unit 1537, where the destroyed S-400 battalion was stationed, serves multiple critical functions. It protects Novorossiysk's port facilities from air attack. It provides air defense coverage over the Black Sea approaches. It shields Russian naval assets operating from the base. The S-400 system destroyed wasn't just protecting itself, it was the umbrella keeping Ukrainian strikes away from billions of dollars in infrastructure and military hardware. The location also reveals something about Russian strategic thinking. Positioning a complete S-400 battalion at Novorossiysk shows Russia considered this area vulnerable to Ukrainian strikes and worth protecting with their most advanced air defense system. They were right to be worried, but the S-400 couldn't save itself, let alone the infrastructure it was meant to protect. How Ukraine pulled off the impossible. Ukrainian forces striking a target deep inside Russia with precision sufficient to destroy every critical component of an S-400 battalion represents extraordinary intelligence, planning, and execution. Let's break down how this operation likely unfolded, because the sophistication is remarkable. First, intelligence gathering. Ukraine needed to know exactly where the S-400 system was positioned, its operational status, when it would be active, and the precise locations of each component. This requires multiple intelligence sources, satellite reconnaissance, signals intelligence intercepting Russian communications, potentially human intelligence from sources inside or near the base. Ukraine has demonstrated throughout this conflict that its intelligence capabilities are far more sophisticated than Russia anticipated. Second, timing. Striking when the system is fully operational and radars are active actually makes targeting easier. Active radars broadcast their locations electromagnetically. But it also means the system can potentially detect and engage incoming threats. Ukrainian planners had to calculate the optimal moment when the system was vulnerable despite being active, possibly during shift changes, maintenance periods, or moments when crew alertness was lower. Third, weapon selection and strike package. To destroy hardened military targets dispersed across a base requires either long-range precision missiles like ATACMS or Storm Shadow, or potentially Ukraine's indigenous long-range strike drones. The strike needed enough weapons to ensure redundancy against interception while hitting multiple aim points nearly simultaneously to prevent crews from taking defensive action after the first impacts. Fourth, penetrating Russian air defense. The S-400 battalion would have been protected by shorter-range air defense systems, creating overlapping coverage. Ukrainian strike weapons had to either saturate these defenses, approach from unexpected vectors, or use speed and maneuverability to evade interception. The fact that the strike succeeded completely suggests exceptional operational planning. The RBC Ukraine report from November 15th, confirmed by Ukrainian intelligence sources, indicates the strike was conducted with precise knowledge of the target layout. The systematic destruction of launchers, radars, and command systems wasn't lucky. It was surgical targeting that knew exactly what needed to be destroyed and where each component was located. The immediate aftermath. economic and military shockwaves. The destruction of the S-400 battalion created immediate, cascading effects that extended far beyond the military loss. Most dramatically, the Novorossiysk oil terminal temporarily halted exports. With the air defense umbrella protecting the facility destroyed, Russian authorities apparently decided that continuing operations with tankers loading crude oil while Ukrainian strike capabilities remained active was too risky. At 2.2 million barrels per day, even a brief shutdown represents tens of millions of dollars in lost revenue and disrupted energy markets. Militarily, the strike opened a significant gap in Russia's Black Sea air defense coverage. The destroyed battalion had provided overlapping coverage with other systems protecting Russia's southern coast. With it gone, Ukrainian aircraft and missiles can potentially operate with greater freedom in airspace that was previously heavily contested. This affects not just potential strikes on Novorossiysk, but Russian naval operations and logistics throughout the region. The psychological impact on Russian forces stationed in supposedly safe rear areas cannot be overstated. If a complete S-400 battalion with all its sophisticated radars and missiles can be destroyed at a major military installation deep in Russian territory, nowhere is truly secure. Russian air defense crews now understand that operating their systems, which requires turning on radars that broadcast their positions, makes them targets that Ukraine can and will strike. Replacement timelines make the damage even more significant. Russia cannot simply order new S-400 systems off a shelf. The 92N6 engagement radar in particular is a sophisticated piece of military hardware that takes months to manufacture. Assuming Russia's defense industry has the capacity to produce replacements while meeting all its other demands. Production is limited by component availability, skilled labor, and manufacturing capacity, all stressed by wartime demands and international sanctions. The billion-dollar lesson. The war's dynamics continue shifting, and this strike is another data point showing the direction of that shift. Ukrainian capabilities are growing more sophisticated, reaching deeper into Russian territory, and achieving strategic effects that far exceed the immediate tactical damage. Russia's vaunted air defenses are proving vulnerable, and nowhere, not even deep inside Russia, is truly safe from Ukrainian strikes on high-value military targets. One S-400 battalion, $500 million or more, gone in minutes, and the message echoes across every Russian military installation. If it happened in Novorossiysk, it can happen anywhere,